as you start to consider whether or not cannabis is right for you, one of the important considerations is to understand how cannabis interacts with your body. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the endocannabinoid system. Yes, we actually have an endocannabinoid system throughout our body. It's a system within our body that regulates homeostasis, which essentially means it's a system of receptors within our body that helps us to create balance. There are a couple different types of receptors within the endocannabinoid system. Just for simplicity, we'll call those CB1 and CB2. CB1 receptors are largely focused in our nervous system, and CB2 receptors are largely located in our immune system. Now, if you've listened to the information about cannabis, you know that cannabis is a very complex plant, and one of the things that's interacting with our endocannabinoid system from the cannabis plant are called the cannabinoids. So if you've heard of THC, CBD, those molecules interact with our endocannabinoid system. The way that this works is that THC is essentially an agonist to those receptors, and CBD is an antagonist. Now, I'm simplifying this quite a bit, but I'm mentioning this fact only to call attention to the fact that those molecules, those cannabinoids within the cannabis plant, interact with our endocannabinoid system in different ways. THC locks in, and CBD kind of blocks that. So they work together potentially. There's a lot of research being conducted in this area as we speak, but they work to provide a complementary effect. So if you've ever, gone to a dispensary or you've been talking to someone who is familiar with cannabis and the way that cannabis interacts with your body, you might have heard, oh, well, you need a little, THC to activate the CBD. That's not exactly true, but what they're talking about is the science behind one sort of having more of an action effect and one having more of a blocking effect. Now, for those of you out there thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I've taken a few biology classes, or many of you might be out there thinking, I went to medical school. I've never heard of this endocannabinoid system. That's because it's largely been something that's not really been very well understood and not very well communicated in traditional types of education and traditional medical schools. This was a system that was discovered recently, in the 1990s, so it's still relatively new. We're still understanding how it all works and how it works with the different properties of cannabis and how the different cannabinoids interact with our endocannabinoid system. But what we know from the studies that have been conducted so far is that there is this system within our bodies, and we actually produce endocannabinoids. So within our bodies, literally as we speak, we're producing endocannabinoids. One is called anandamide, and one is called 2-AG. So that's happening literally as we speak. And phytocannabinoids, which are the cannabinoids derived from cannabis, plant-based cannabinoids, like THC and CBD, are going to, in some ways, mimic the properties of our endocannabinoid system. So if we have an imbalance, maybe we're not producing enough 2-AG or anandamide, or we have an overproduction, cannabis can act as a supplementary form of cannabinoid to help address those imbalances. There are also synthetic cannabinoids. So in research labs around the world, pharmaceutical companies are looking to see, okay, we understand the chemical composition now of cannabis. We're starting to understand the different chemical profile. How can we synthetically create molecules that look like THC, that look like CBD? So that's an important thing to think about. So within the endocannabinoid system, we have those endogenous cannabinoids, we have phytocannabinoids, and we have synthetic cannabinoids. And these are all working together to create homeostasis.